What is up, Packer fans? Back again. Here we are, week 3 of the NFL season. The Packers on the road this week after 2 home games, 2 W's against the Lions and the Commanders. Going to Cleveland to play the Browns. Joe Flacco at the helm. I kind of was shooting for Shedeur to be the starter after watching him a little bit, but they went with Flacco. They're 0-2. I think they even had Gabriel come in a little bit against the Ravens last week. They got blown out like 41-17. And then in week 1 against the Bengals, it was close, 17-16. Joe Burrow really played bad in that game, and the Browns were close. But now, Green Bay heading down to Cleveland. Packers look good. The Packers have been getting a lot of talk, a lot of buzz, a lot of people saying that they look like the best overall team, definitely the best defense in the league. I don't like to get too excited, too high, too low, just ride the course. But I'm very excited about how this Packers offense looks at times. Of course, there's some things to clean up always. We are still the youngest team in the NFL, but the Packers defense looks phenomenal. Adding Micah Parsons to an already phenomenal defense made them just that much more phenomenal, of course. So for the Packers, having guys like X on the back and Evan Williams, the only guy with an interception this year, we haven't had a lot of turnovers. I'm hoping for some more turnovers here against Cleveland. Joe Flacco's a guy that you can get after in the rushing him, trying to force him to force a fumble or force him to fumble, and then in the obviously interceptions, just kind of, with the pressure, he can't scramble. He might force some throws. Maybe we can get some on the back end. I'm hoping for a big turnover day against Joe Flacco in this offense. And then if they bring in the rookies at all, I think the Packers defense will feast on them too. Gabriel is undersized but can move, and we know Shedeur's, basically pocket passer. So for the Packers, all these guys are guys that the Packers could get after, whoever they decide to play. If the Packers can get ahead, we might see one of the younger guys. But for Joe Flacco, he's got his weapons. He does have Cedric Tillman at wide receiver. He has Jerry Jeudy, a guy that's kind of been around the league, a guy that had some high promise coming into the league in Denver and then now in Cleveland. And then David Njoku, the big tight end, who I really like, a guy that I've liked watching over the last few years. Just not a lot of success in Cleveland for them. At running back, they have Quinshon Jenkins. Another guy they have is Jerome Ford. Both are kind of shifty backs. I do like Jenkins. Just let's see what the Packers can do against a guy like him. Should be able to stop him and not have any issues really with the run game. The Packers defense have held week 1 and week 2 opponents, the Commanders and Lions, to under 100 yards rushing total. Like both games, under 100 yards. Pretty incredible what they're doing, and I think they can continue that against this Browns offense. I don't think the Browns are going to be able to move the ball much. Obviously, they do have some weapons, like I said, Tillman and Jeudy, and Isaiah Bond, who's kind of their kick returner. He's kind of in the role of receiver now, a slot receiver, just because of some of the injuries on that Cleveland roster. But at tight end, like I said, Njoku is really good. He's Pro Bowl tight end at times over the years. I think with Mayfield, maybe with one of the other quarterbacks. I think maybe Flacco the first time around, but the offensive line for the Browns is pretty good. They've got Wyatt Teller, who's a good right guard, and then Joel Bettino, who's the left guard. Both guys are pretty good guards. On the outside, they have DeJuan Jones, and on the right side, they have Conklin, who might be injured. Cornelius Lucas might play for him, but we'll see what happens with their offensive line. And at center is Pacic, I think it is. Not a huge Cleveland fan, so I'm not sure of the pronunciation of his name. But anyway, for the Browns offense, just kind of got to get things going against this defense. I really think that, with the defense the Packers have been playing, they've got 8 sacks on the season, only 1 interception. I think we forced a fumble, but we don't recover any yet. So looking for some more turnovers, like I was saying. But Rashawn Gary, 2.5 sacks. We have Baron Sorrell, rookie, with his a half a sack. Lucas Van Ness has a half a sack. I know Devontae Wyatt has 2 sacks. So a bunch of guys getting into the mix. Edgerrin Cooper has a half a sack as well. And so for the Packers, just kind of continuing that pressure, Micah Parsons, I think he's at 1.5 now, not quite 2. So everybody kind of getting in the mix on the defensive line, and that's allowing the linebackers to really, make a lot of tackles. Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper both playing lights out. Quay Walker sometimes makes little read errors, but Cooper is really a phenomenal player. I just can't wait to keep watching him kind of grow and excel in his role. But on the back end, Keyshawn Nixon, 5 PBUs last week, 5 against a good quarterback and decent receivers on the Commanders. So we'll see if he continues to have that kind of play against some of these other top receivers in the league as we go through the season. Starting off really well. He's nobody in the league last year had 5 PBUs in a game, and he already had one in week 2 as like the week 1 cornerback 1 for the Packers. So really exciting watching Nixon. Valentine on the other side playing well, and Bullard is just a dog. I love watching him play. So really exciting. The things going on in the defense. Hafley's really in his bag. Things are really coming together, and they're just going to keep growing. Micah's only been in like what was it, 20 snaps and then 27 snaps, something like that. So not many of the snaps on defense. He wants to be unleashed. He was saying he's getting pissed off. He wants to get unleashed. So it'll be exciting to see kind of how they ramp up Parsons, how that helps out Gary and Van Ness and Wyatt and the guys in the middle. And Colby Wooden really stuffing the inside along with Stackhouse, a guy that you don't hear a lot of because he's just taking up blocks while other guys are making plays. So really exciting to see this defense coming together, and it's just that whiteout last week was really cool. And so going down to Cleveland against an offense that's struggled against the Ravens defense, we'll see what this Packers defense can do. Hopefully we can get some turnovers, some sacks, make some plays on defense, get the ball back for the offense. So for Jordan Love and this offense, I think he's got over 400, and I think he's like 480 yards passing on the season. Jacobs over 100 yards rushing, and then you have Kraft over 100 yards receiving, like 140 and 2 touchdowns. Kind of the receiver 1 for this Green Bay team as Jaden Reed got hurt, and we know that Romeo Doubs is playing well, but not really leading the team in receiving yet. Obviously Kraft is, and then Wicks really started out good last week. He was making a lot of good grabs early on, first down in the first play and things like that. So still a lot of growing to do with this offense. I love watching Jordan Love. He's really a guy that just is not afraid to make the deep ball throws, and that's exciting to see, obviously. Just take the chances. Maybe you get a pass interference. Maybe your guy catches it. Try not to put it in harm's way. It was like this far out of Matthew Golden's reach. So they'll connect on those as the season goes on, and we'll just see how that connection kind of blossoms here now that Jaden Reed's out for at least 6 weeks. Watson's out still until November. So for this Packers offense, the offensive line is going to be kind of what makes or break this game. Obviously, Myles Garrett is a game ruiner on the left end or right end of the defense for the Browns. All-Pro, Pro Bowl player. And then on the other side, they have Isaiah McGuire, young player, and then in the middle they have Malik Collins, a guy that we've heard of in the past. So for the defense, the defensive line for the Browns is mostly Myles Garrett that's going to ruin your day. On the back end, though, they have Denzel Ward and they have Greg Newsome, 2 really good corners who I really like. And then they have Delpit at safety, who I also really like. And then down in a linebacker, they have Devin Bush, another guy who I really like. Some other unknown guys, that Jerome Baker at linebacker, Carson Schweizer at linebacker also. So a bunch of guys that we don't play the Browns a lot, so not a lot of names that we've heard of a lot, and they've had a lot of turnover in Cleveland just because of the lack of success. So new names, but they still have a pretty good defense. Obviously, last week they only got beat 41-17, but the week before it was 17-16, like I was saying. So the defense is good, playing Lamar and Derrick Henry. Even though Henry didn't have a good game, Lamar is a beast. So for this Packers offense, it'll come down to the offensive line. Left tackle playing well, Rasheed Walker doing what he does, and then Elkin Jenkins obviously solidifies the left side. Center Elkin Jenkins. The left side is Walker, and then I think we had Aaron Banks, but he was out. So Jordan Morgan was playing and Sean Ryan was playing, so we were doing well. But on the right side, with Zach Tom out, it was Anthony Belton playing right tackle. So really exciting to see him come in as a rookie and play. I know they had Dillard in for a little bit, but he'll probably get to start again at week 2 unless Zach Tom can go. I know him and Aaron Banks are both trying to get in, and so we'll see with our time off they might be able to go. So then, like I said, it'll be left tackle, it'll be Rasheed, Elkin Jenkins at center, and then we'll see how they kind of flip it. If Aaron Banks can go, maybe Sean Ryan doesn't have to go at left guard. Maybe he can go at right guard, but Jordan Morgan can kind of flip-flop too. And then they have Dillard also that played right tackle, and then maybe Anthony Bellin comes inside. So it'll kind of depend on who is injured or who's healthy and what the Packers want to do on the offensive line. Seems like they have, 7 or 8 guys that can really play, maybe 9 with Dillard, I think. So really exciting to see this offensive line kind of just keep growing together, but hopefully we can get some consistency with who is playing and who is in and who's not in, just so that we can do better. But obviously, Elgton Jenkins, veteran guy, he can get everybody situated. Jordan Love, been in the system for a while, he can get guys situated as well. So keep running the ball with Josh Jacobs. I think they need to get him going a little bit more. He did have 84 yards on the ground last week against the Commanders. It kind of seemed slow, but he had like 23 carries, and he ended up with like 84 yards. So want to get him over the 100-yard mark. Keep getting Tucker Kraft involved. I want to keep getting Luke Musgraves involved just because he's a guy that's 6'6" and can run. We just got to get him the ball in space where he can kind of make a play down the seam or something where he can run after the catch. I want to see some more of that. But getting Dobbs involved, obviously, trying to see if Matthew Golden and Jordan Love can kind of get that connection together again. And then Wicks, just keep him doing what he's doing. That Malik Heath catch, though, was amazing. So he'll probably get some more chances as well. I do like Heath in the run block game and everything. But he can't catch. Obviously, he made a fantastic grab on the sidelines. So getting him more involved as well, now that Reed is out, is going to be important. We'll see who kind of steps up. Hopefully Dobbs can just kind of step up, be that number 1 guy. Tucker Kraft can be just, the outlet guy and also a number 1 guy, but at tight end. And then see Wicks kind of come into his own, and then watch Matthew Golden kind of grow. It's only week 2 for the rookie, so we'll see what he does this week against the Cleveland team that does have some good corners on the outside, but once you get to that nickel in the fourth corner there, there are guys that Matthew Golden will be lined up against and should be able to beat. So we'll see what he does with that. And then obviously for the Packers, could be a kind of a trap game. You just won 2 really important games at home one against the divisional opponent, one against the NFC championship game loser of last year, the Commanders. So really big wins for Green Bay, going down to Cleveland, who's notoriously struggled. Let's get this W. Really important to kind of keep this momentum. And then we go to Dallas, which is a conference game, and important obviously for Micah and just Packers, Kenny Clark playing against his team, but it'll be in Dallas, so going on the road again before, I believe, a bye week, and then the Bengals. So obviously the Bengals won't have Joe Burrow, which will help the Packers, but Browning looks okay. But that's in the future. We got to get through the Browns first, and then the Cowboys. Nice to have a little 10-day mini bye coming off the start of the season. Guys can kind of get healthy. Everybody's a little bit out of game shape and maybe tweak some things before. Obviously, we lost Zach Tom and Aaron Banks. I think Tom will play, which will really help, maybe kick some guys inside, but I'm not really sure, so we'll see what happens this week, see if those guys can get in there. Banks and Tom were playing great before they got hurt, so it'd be nice to have this starting 5 in there, but it's nice that the Packers have backups that can really fill those roles. Packers look good against the Commanders. They look good against the Lions. Lions won 52-14 or 17 or something against the Bears. The Bears suck again. The Bears still suck. So that's great and awesome. The Packers are great. The Bears still suck. So, well, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Go Pack, go. Peace out.